In today's jangle, I want to touch on a friend of mine who is in a bit of a precarious situation. She went to the United States, went through the process, applied for green card, received it, and then applied for citizenship and received it. But then she was bitten by the bug. The bug that when it gets bitten, no matter what you're doing, you want to drop everything and come back home to help. She did. And she came home and decided to run for parliament. And as per the laws of Ghana, she had to renounce her citizenship. Fortunately for her, she won. And she was in parliament, made it to, cabinet and everything was going on okay. Later, all that stopped. This individual is no longer in parliament, is no longer in the cabinet. And now, despite the fact that she owns a property in the United States, because she has dropped her citizenship, she is having difficulties returning. Now, look at this precarious situation. Now, I have a group, actually there is a group that is fighting the Ghana end of it to try and change the laws in Ghana so that when people come back to help, they don't have to drop their citizenship. But in today's jungle, I want to touch on one area that we might not have been looking at. We're not looking at that situation, which is the laws of the United States. I looked at the United States Constitution, and nowhere is it written constitutionally that when you drop your citizenship, you have to drop all the way down to ground zero. Here's the argument. Before a person becomes a citizen, he must have gone through the green card process and become a permanent resident. That is a status of its own. Now, after you've gotten your green card and you want to apply for United States citizenship and you're granted the United States citizenship, at the time that you come home and you drop the United States citizenship, it seems to me that the natural status to revert to is your previous status, which would be the permanent resident. Why is it that when you change your mind about the citizenship that you acquired, you drop past the permanent resident all the way to ground zero, where you now have to go and stand in line to apply for a visa to United States, when in many cases you have children and you have properties, you have investment there, but then you drop. I don't think this is fair. I think this is a law, a regulation that can be challenged successfully if there is someone who is in this situation and wants to take it up. I am sure you can find an attorney in the United States to make this case. And I'm not a lawyer, but this looked like one of those cases that can go all the way to the Supreme Court, and for the Supreme Court to rule positively that if you are a green card holder, which is a status of its own, and you apply for citizenship and you obtain that citizenship, at a time when you decide that, you know what, I no longer want this citizenship because where I am going to work, I cannot do the work by holding another citizenship. And here is the kicker for United States. The number one, or shall I say that one of the United States foreign policy priorities is the democratization of the world. All the countries of this earth had citizenship in the United States, many of whom have also acquired this United States citizenship. So it is actually in the United States interests, it's in the United States foreign policy interest to make it easy for people who have lived and been socialized, educated, socialized in the United States to return to their home country to help democratize these countries. Here's where it's in the United States foreign policy interest to revisit this law. If you take an individual who left his or her country, came to the United States, educated himself, socialized there, became a United States citizen and believes in the democratic process, wants to go back home. A lot of them are not able to do so because there are some opportunities that they cannot take up because they have to drop their United States citizenship. Wouldn't it be better for United States to allow people to drop the United States citizenship and revert back to their green card status, the permanent resident status, so that when they go and things don't work out, they are at least able to return to the United States where they have their roots, such as children, property, and investment. And so for today's jungle, I want us to look at this quagmire from the United States perspective. If Ghana or other countries are not going to change their laws to enable people to come home and participate in nation building while holding another citizenship, which, by the way, many other countries also allow, because there are examples of countries where even the president holds another citizenship. But that's another matter. For this jungle, I want us to look at United States. I was a green card holder, which is a permanent resident status, and I applied for citizenship and I received it. So at the time that I give up the citizenship, I should be able to revert to the green card status. I think this is a challenge that can go as far as Supreme Court, and I have no doubt that there is a possibility that it can be the United States Supreme Court, which many call SCOTUS, would rule positively to allow people to drop from citizenship to green card status. For today, that's the jungle.